Hi, this is Joe again with another review. And to continue my reviews of the Lethal Weapon series, this video, I'm going to be discussing the second film in the series. Of course, this was titled Lethal Weapon 2. But remember the days, folks, when they usually put a number at the end of a movie, for the sequel? Well, that's what I'm doing here, and it's the 1989 film Lethal Weapon 2. This, of course, came out like 2 years after the original film, which was a big hit. So, of course, anytime when this movie becomes a big hit, you gotta have sequels. Of course, this one, brings back almost the same cast of characters into the main cast, which was Mel Gibson and Danny Glover as Riggs and Murtaugh, the two buddy cops, who of course will establish a relationship in the first film. Now they become more trusted partners now. Even though Mel Gibson's character, Riggs, is still crazy, but not suicidal. And of course, you also had Darlene Love as Murtaugh's wife. You had Tracy Wolf as Murtaugh's daughter. But in this movie, instead of the cut out all the Vietnam War stuff that was in the first film, now all of a sudden, now you get into a real stereotypical cop movie from the late 80s. And of course, another drug dealer, because in the first film was drug dealers who had connections from Vietnam in the Vietnam War. This time it's drug dealers, but this time it was a little bit of a different twist on them. This one, these drug dealers are actually people from the South African consulate. So that diplomats who are using diplomatic immunity to commit all these crimes, and this claim, it's diplomat. I have diplomatic immunity. You can't arrest me. So they're getting away with all this crap, and they're not going to be charged with anything because they have diplomatic immunity. So of course that's pretty much the whole premise of this film. But they added the extra two extra characters were added for this film. One of them will get killed off, but spoiler, one will get killed off in the story, but the other one will be out for the rest of the movie series. One of them is Patsy Kensis, who of course plays a secretary in the South African consulate, who of course didn't like what was going on, and she became a love interest for Riggs, the Mel Gibson character in this film. Of course, she was hot, she was beautiful, she was sexy, and of course she has a nice nude scene in this film where you get to see a little of a boob shot. You'll see her boobs in this movie. And that's one of the controversies of this movie, which we're going to eventually get into. Of course, this film also adds Joe Pesci as a comedic foil for Riggs and Murtaugh. And of course, what happened is of course, the Joe Pesci character plays a federal witness who Riggs and Murtaugh are supposed to protect. And of course, also, what I should mention, getting a little hammering, so I should mention that the opening in the scene starts with this crazy car chase, which we're right in the middle of this big car chase. I mean, it doesn't even start at the beginning, which it usually does for these types of car chases. Like right in the middle of it, right in the middle of the action, right first action sequence, and it's crazy. And they find out they're talking like South African guys, which you're not going to know until like halfway through the film. That these guys are from the South African consulate, and they, getting away with all this stuff. So, which was going to be like a drug bust, and they didn't make the connection that was a drug bust related to the South African consulate, or diplomats for South Africa. Which of course brings in the whole apartheid thing. Because this is I think like about a year or two before Nelson Mandela got released from prison in South Africa, and before apartheid got abolished. So they were like in your face with the anti-apartheid stuff, because they have protests in front of the consulate all the time, and it's really ridiculous. So Patsy Kensis plays the secretary in this thing, and Joe Pesci was a witness who made a deal with the South African guys. And he said, "Oh, I just know one guy, and he just dealt with a courier, and it was Hans, and he was one of the characters in the South African government." And of course, what happens is, of course, Hans that gets killed off by the South African guy, and he gets killed off because he botched this deal with this chase. You saw at the beginning of the film. And Joe Pesci was the witness, and he had deals with these guys. And he decides to snitch on them because he embezzled, or he laundered about a couple $1 million for drug money from these South African government and the consulate. So of course they were going after Joe Pesci, and everything eventually ties together in this film. Well, of course, also what happens is the whole thing gets all whacked up, and because of the fact that the henchman of the top counselor actually had a history with Riggs. And of course, if you saw my first review of the first Lethal Weapon film, the thing was that Warren Riggs' wife was killed in a car accident, and they brought this up in the second movie, so it actually ties that subplot of the first film into this one, and practically ends in the second film, because of the fact that the henchman, I'm not sure who, I think it was Derek O'Connor, I think it is, played the henchman, and he was the one who actually killed Riggs' wife, because when Riggs was working in the narcotics officer, they put a hit on Riggs, and he followed his car in his restaurant, and he didn't know there was his wife in the car instead of Riggs, or Riggs' wife, I should say, and not Morton Riggs, and he killed her. He pretty much killed her off, and so it became a little more personal. And of course, towards the end of the movie, we're going to get ahead of myself. So, but it has that little personal angle in there. Also, what's going on is, of course, the girl that, Patsy Kensis character, they had a real big love scene in this film, and that's pretty controversial. I mean, there were like this big nude scenes before in movies before, but this particular love scene went on like way too long. It felt like 20 minutes. It lasted that long, and they kept cutting back and forth between the love scene that's going on between Riggs and Rika, the Patsy Kensis character, and coming back to what the South African guys are getting even with the cops. I mean, they were blowing up, or they killed just about every single police officer that was involved in the chase in the beginning of the film. They were going after them. The South African guys, they were blowing up everybody. They were setting up bombs all over the place. And including the most famous scene in the film was, of course, with the bomb in Murtaugh's toilet. Yes, he put a bomb in the toilet, and that became a whole big thing. With Riggs, with Murtaugh sitting on the toilet, and Riggs pulling him off the toilet, and the toilet goes, and as he boom, it goes out the window and lands on a car. So you have that. I think that's the funniest moment. I think the toilet blow up. I mean that's the idea to come up with, and put a bomb on the toilet. And then of course you had Joe Pesci. Of course, this is a story of a 3-movie run, because actually you only have 4 movies in the Lethal Weapon series. Which every movie Joe Pesci was in, he says they F you somewhere, they fuck you somewhere. They go to a fast food joint, and they go through the drive-thru and not to the counter, and Joe Pesci didn't get his what he wanted when he ordered. So he says, let me tell you, they F you with the drive-thru, they fuck you with the drive-thru. They know you're going to be miles away before you realize you get F'd, okay? And they know you're not going to go back. So who gets F? Only you gets, but don't get an F. And he went on And he did that in the other two films as well. And nephew bit. They fuck you this, they fuck you with that. And by the time they did the fourth movie, you know they're going to do right that in. Where they did, and well, Joe Pesci's first into it, but in the second one, he did that bit. Comes back in the third movie, he does that bit again, and then of course in the fourth movie, when the fourth movie got kind of tired, and I want to get into the fourth movie when it gets up to it, but actually Joe Pesci was very good in these movies, and of course he was so good in Lethal Weapon 2, they brought him back, and they keep trying to find new ways to bring back Joe Pesci in these movies. And I don't have anything against Joe Pesci, but they keep bringing the guy back in every single one of these films. But if that was like a one-shot deal with Joe Pesci, and they shouldn't have brought him back in the other films, in my opinion. So of course when they started blowing up the killing the cops, the South African guys, Riggs and Murtaugh decided to go rogue, and go and kill every single one of these guys. They destroyed, Riggs destroys the house that the South African guys were using. Then they go and find out they had this boat they're going to be leaving, so they kill as many guys as they could possibly can. And of course, you had the big fight scene with Riggs and the guy who killed Riggs' wife. So they had a real big fight scene there, and that was a pretty damn good fight scene. I'm telling you the truth. They did have a pretty good fight scene, and it ended when Riggs pushes a button and a cargo door, landed on his head. That's how they pretty much ended the fight. That fight scene. But it definitely was a real down and dirty fight. It was a pretty good fight. It was like a little bit lame in the beginning of it, but then eventually got good. And it was not as good as the fight that Mel Gibson had with Gary Busey in the first film. But it was a good fist fight scene. Then of course you had the most infamous moment at the end of the movie, where the diplomat, when the South African guy, the head guy, shoots Riggs. Spoiler for those who didn't see the movie. He shoots Riggs, and of course his Murtaugh back in the he has a guy that says, drop it, asshole. He yells, drop the gun. And the guy goes, diplomatic immunity. And then of course Murtaugh did this, and the next thing, and then he shoots the guy in the head, and he goes, it's just been revoked. And of course they did that scene as a spoof in Family Guy. They did a spoof on that. So that's what they did. Of course, Riggs lives. Of course, obviously Riggs lives. Otherwise, they would have 2 more movies in this series. But of course, when Lethal Weapon 2 came out, it was also known as the year of the sequel, because you had not only Lethal Weapon 2, you had Star Trek 5, you had a James Bond film, License to Kill, you had the third Indiana Jones film, you had Ghostbusters 2 that came out the same year. And 1989 was called the year of the sequel. And of course, I think Lethal Weapon 2 was definitely the best one out of all those sequels I mentioned. But naturally, of course, when all these movies end, it looks like, they're never going to make another movie. Because they always say that at the end of these films, especially for Lethal Weapon and of course the Star Trek films also, with the original cast, they always say, it's going to be the last film made. And the movies make money, so of course they're going to keep cracking them out. But with this one, I think it was a pretty good sequel. I think of all the Lethal Weapon sequels, the second one is the best one, in my opinion. Lethal Weapon 2 definitely was the best one. So that's my review of Lethal Weapon 2. I know it was all over the place in this review, but I should also mention the big running gag. The biggest running gag in this movie was the fact that Murtaugh's daughter, Leanne, did a commercial, and it was a condom commercial. And of course, there was like a big running gag. And of course, they had a handyman in the house, or Murtaugh had, and he goes, yeah, I like that commercial, it makes me want to buy rubbers right now. Because the daughter was hot, and they had a scene where they were on the beach, and she's in a swimsuit, not a bikini, unfortunately, but a one-piece swimsuit. And that's when I get also mentioned about by rubbers because he's so hot. And of course, later on in the movie, Joe Pesci's watching that commercial. Oh, look at this! This is my favorite commercial. Look at this girl; she is so hot. And didn't realize that was, of course, Murtaugh's daughter in that commercial. And that was her first television, her first acting job was in a commercial. It was a condom commercial. So naturally, they had a whole running joke with that. So I should have mentioned that before I close off this video. So let me review Lethal Weapon 2. Please click on the video, please rate it. Feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews on my YouTube channel at rowdyc.com, so WDY, and then C.com. On the homepage of Rowdy Reviewer, Christy Moore. And please check out all of his videos on his website as well. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.